This is part 2 of the basics of how to read music. We're going to look at piano sheet music and understand some of the basic symbols on it. So just as a refresher from the previous video, there are 12 notes total that repeat in increasing or decreasing octaves. Those notes played by the white keys on a piano are named A through G. When the note is a 1/2 step up, it's denoted with a sharp sign. And when it's 1/2 step down, it's denoted with a flat sign. The lines and spaces on piano music here correspond to the keys of the piano. So somebody who reads piano music would know each one of these lines and spaces and would know the letter that that particular space or line would designate. When you're looking at piano music itself, in addition to knowing that each one of these lines and spaces is a particular letter name for a note, also note these two symbols here that will appear at the very beginning of each line of piano music. This top one is called a treble clef, and it means that all of the notes on these lines and spaces are the notes on the piano played with the piano player's right hand. And the notes down here on the bass clef line are played by the piano player's left hand. So this is basically the right side of the piano, and these are the left side of the piano. You'll also see these lines that cut up the piano music into sections. These are called bar lines. And the section in between two of these lines is referred to as a measure or bar. And every one of these measures will have the same number of beats in them. At the very beginning, also, you will see two numbers on top of each other, and this is something called the time signature. The top number of that time signature is the one you're going to care more about if you don't know a lot about reading music. Basically, it tells you how many beats are going to be in one measure. So those bar lines that cut up the piano music, in this particular example, there would be 4 beats in between every set of bar lines. The bottom number is a lot trickier. It refers to the type of note that equals 1 beat. So in this example, it's a quarter note. So there would be 4 quarter notes in one measure in this particular example. These are the types of notes. Don't go too crazy worrying about these and memorizing these, but if you're curious. If you were in 4/4 time, which is a very common time, the one in that previous example, a whole note, which is just a big circle, would equal 4 beats. The half note, 2 beats, the quarter note, 1 beat, and then if you start having this little tail, it becomes a half beat, an eighth note, and if you have kind of 2 little lines coming off in a tail, it becomes a 16th note. So when you see these types of notes on piano music, it means there is a note being played on the piano. There's also something called the rest notes, which means for that number of beats, nothing is being played. So if you see any of these symbols, it means for that number of beats, there are no notes being played at all. Again, don't go crazy worrying about the types of notes and things like that. Mainly just keep in mind the number of beats per measure.